Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat. Cats, a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Jake. I'm joined by Johnny and Sambo, who I don't know if the viewers caught having a massive yawn there as the Hoops Crew intro finished.
I didn't know.
How are we, chaps?
I'm good.
Apparently, I'm tired. I'm good. I
No,
had
it's
the
supposed to be
tab.
hard.
I was
What
on
have
a
you done today?
different. I was on a different tab, and so I didn't see the logo or anything, so I wasn't aware I was scrolling through it. I do apologize.
It's not like you only just got home from work an hour and a half ago, so no reason to be tired. You should
Ran
be
home,
pumped, ready to go, full of
scoffed some
energy.
food, threw the kids into bed. Commando rolled out of the room into the office, sat down.
Nice work.
Love it.
What a way to set
Johnny,
up for a pod. Just boundless energy.
Exactly.
Rushing from one task to the next.
That's right.
Johnny, you're full of beans tonight, I'm sure. You've been at work, obviously. So we're not minimizing. I don't want you to feel like I'm minimizing your personal employment, like trauma or anything like that.
I definitely got home in time due to my working hours to actually be able to relax and think about tonight's podcast, unlike Sam, who said got home, scoffed to food, had to get the kids to bed, and then commando roll into his spare room. So
I hope you still commando rolled into your office anyway, just for the sake of it.
I'll say I did.
Style.
So yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling refreshed, ready to go, excited. It's a good time of year. It's finals and the AFLW's back on. So what's not to be excited?
Indeed, there's a lot to be excited about. Johnny will have significantly less energy. I'm almost certain of it next week because the Formula One's back on. So we'll track it. We'll take an energy check next Monday night when we're recording. On the show tonight, there is an awful lot to get.
Check your energy levels.
The AFLW Crows carve up the Cats in round 2. So unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about that. The AFL men tame the Tigers in round 24. We're going to talk all about that. Then we'll spin over to Patreon. Sure, we'll have a few extra thoughts on the AFL, or both games, to be honest. But I've got a question to pose to the chaps about all this home final business with the Cats. We'll talk about that. And we will preview Geelong's round 3 clash in the AFLW with the Sydney Swans. It's getting down to crunch time. So all of that will be over on Patreon. If you want to do that, sign up for the 7-day free trial. Come on over. Join us. The water's fine. But before we do that, chaps, we've got to say a big Hoops Crew Media Network's thank you to our Hoops Crew Media Network sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. You can visit them at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. You can phone them up 035 222 2244 or visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Remember, if you go on over to that website, put an order in for some flowers, put Go Cats in the voucher field at checkout, you'll get 20% off your next purchase. 20% off just for being a listener here on the Hoops Crew. Like, let us help you, okay? That's what I would say. Flowers, they're a beautiful thing. You know, it's a beautiful way to say, hey, I appreciate you. Hey, I really like you. You know, as far as we're concerned.
1,000 blossoms bloom.
Or,
you know,
just a really good way to mess with someone by giving them flowers and saying that as an act of petty revenge or finding a way just to toy with them a little bit. Someone you don't
exactly.
like.
Friends or enemies, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Just send them some flowers and get 20% off. You know, like it's not that hard. Go Cats in the voucher field at checkout. So yes, thank you to Cyril Cook
So some
Forest.
to a Hawthorn supporter.
All
Go,
right.
good luck in finals, Cats fans.
Mental warfare. John, I love that John doesn't. It's not just like John doesn't just send gifts to people. He's wanting to send gifts as mental warfare.
Absolutely.
He's playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers, or however that phrase works. All right, we've got to get into it. The AFLW, we're starting there. The Crows carve up the Cats in round 2, unfortunately. And this is how it unfolded, chaps. The odds felt stacked against the Cats on Sunday afternoon in Adelaide, looking for their first win of the season against an Adelaide team who had been roundly whipped by the Saints in round 1. Those odds felt like they were tilting in Geelong's favour early as the Cats dominated large chunks of the play, kicking 3 of the game's first 4 goals to lead 21-10 at half-time. Things unraveled thereafter. There had been warning signs, of course, from the Crows in the first half. Adelaide, in many stretches, actually possessed and moved the ball more quickly and cleanly than the Cats, but lacked a finishing touch. In the second half, they surged. 2 goals to none in the third term brought the margin back to just 2 points, and I was nervous. There was some clenching going on my couch before a disturbingly powerful burst of 7 goals in the game's final 15 minutes stamped any life out of the contest. The hosts just could not miss. Despite strong performances from Georgie Prasparkas, Rebecca Webster, Nina Morrison, and others, it's now the second week in a row where the Cats have been in a game up to their teeth at 3/4 time, only to see the opponent canter away in the final term. A really disappointing one, perhaps not unexpected in some ways, Johnny, but, the first half gave us so much hope, particularly, I feel like that first quarter, but ultimately it's the Adelaide Crows, 10-5-65, Geelong 3-9-27. What was your key takeaway here, Johnny? What did you put it down to?
Yeah, it was just, I feel like we just weren't able to take our opportunities in front of goal when they were there, especially the set shots, and especially when we were the dominant team on the day. Like, not throughout, but those first few quarters, I felt we were probably the team that was on top most of that game, even for the first 3 quarters, and we just weren't able to nail those crucial goals at those crucial moments. I'm not sure if it would have made a huge difference in the result, but who knows? I think it probably could have. I think it probably could have made a big difference if we were able to kick those goals when we had them in that second quarter. Sorry, yeah, because there came at some very crucial moments where the Crows were sort of surging as well. It was very tight tussle in the middle around the ground, and when we had those really clean, good opportunities, just weren't able to grab them. And as you know, in football or any sport, if you don't take those opportunities when you can, it's gonna hurt when the opposition's able to return fire and deliver a goal when it really matters, which is what Adelaide was able to do, unfortunately, in pretty crucial moments at the start of that third and right at the end of the third quarter. Whereas we had some really good opportunities to stem that, get a couple of nice goals just to stem the flow of them getting away from us, and we just couldn't, which was really unfortunate. But that's what it happens. That's what it's going to take. Is we're going to have to take these opportunities, and if we don't, well, the results happened twice in a row now. Same thing happened last week. We weren't able to capitalise, and then North Melbourne ran away in the last quarter. This week, yet again, we felt like we were on top for a majority of that game, weren't able to capitalise, and then Adelaide gets a late third quarter goal and then is able to skip away in the fourth, which is disappointing, frustrating. But overall, again, I don't think we played terribly. I just think those crucial moments when we didn't take those goals, when we had should have, like I think all those goals we should have definitely kicked, hurt us a lot. And yeah, it's one of those. That's one of those frustrating things. It's like, just kick that goal, they may have not got that. If we just gotten that crucial hand pass or that crucial thing just going our way a little bit more, we would have been in a better position. But that's football. If you don't take those opportunities when they're there, as I said, it's going to hurt you. That was the main key takeaway. Honestly, if we kicked those goals, I thought we could have won, but unfortunately, weren't able to, and cost big time.
Yeah, and like you look at that 3/4 time score, 3 goals 7-25 to 3-5 23. You know, if you're 6-4 40 there, you know, to their 3-5 23, like I know the argument will be, well, you know, Adelaide kicked 3 goals 5, but you know, I think a lot of Geelong's chances they felt so gettable and just moments. I can't remember which quarter. I think it was actually in the final quarter. Aisling Maloney running into an open goal and she gets caught between hand passing to her left or going the shot herself. It's indecision and she gets tackled and it's holding the ball. There's other ones too, straightforward chances, you know, for really good players that go wide. And, you know, I just look at that score again, 10 scoring shots to 8 going in at that 3/4 time break. Even if we converted those 2 extra scoring shots to goals, even if we were 5 goals 5, you know, it's 5-5 35 to 3-5 23. It's a 2-goal lead. As it is, it's 2 points. I'd make the same argument, you know, in the first half, 3 goals 3 to their 1 goals 4. I totally see where you're coming from, Johnny, and it is the second week in a row, and it's just the ability to finish off the work. And of course, the work is really what we were talking about, Sambo. Like, I'll pivot to you here because early in the game, the repeat pressure efforts were insane. Like in terms from what the Cats were offering, their defensive work, but you sort of saw some things in that maybe at times, not the pressure itself, but the way in which it was executed, maybe that was somewhat of our undoing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to sort of repeat myself after the last week again, and it's the big S, it's the structure. I like it did just feel a little bit again like we got so far on talent and grit and gut running, and it only gets you so far in a 4-quarter game, and I just felt like once again, not taking anything away from the Oppo, like they obviously pulled out some pretty impressive stuff. So I'm not saying we just gave it to them or anything like that, but it did just feel like we were just gut running way too hard, way too often. And it looks impressive and it's inspiring. But when you also then combine that with what Johnny was talking about, not getting the return for effort, it can be pretty deflating. It can be very hard to keep up. And I just feel like 2 weeks in a row, it just looks like we've sort of run out of gas, both in a physical sense and also just like a morale sense. Like just this kind of like, gosh, it's been a lot of work and we're not, miles in front here. And I think it speaks to maybe a larger thing that's possibly happening all over the ground, which just feels like it's all a little bit chaotic. I don't know that anything greatly feels like it's coming from system. Like the pressure doesn't necessarily feel like it's a structure and a system around it. Same with the inside 50s. Like you were talking about, John, like being able to take the opportunities. It doesn't feel like there's an embedded system that they can fall back on and do 9 times out of 10. And then on that 10th time, you do something out of the ordinary and extraordinary, like, Aisling Maloney's goal, like incredible, absolutely incredible goal. But again, didn't feel like it came out of system. There wasn't some kind of sort of set play that led to her having this. It just pure talent. And that's great to have. That's that awesome awesome sort of X factor to have in your forward line, but it's not enough to kick you a winning score every week. Like, I think you have to, and I'm sure this isn't to say that they don't know this. I'm sure that they know their systems. I'm sure they drill set plays and off the ball, covering for each other, who goes to the mark, who goes to the player, who's covering the next player. I'm sure they drill all of this stuff. It just doesn't feel like it's ingrained and second nature at this point. And once you get tired and exhausted and the adrenaline starts to go, it feels like it all goes out the window a little bit. And they're out there playing their absolute hardest. But at the end of the day, maybe you could play a little less hard if you were within your systems and doing yourselves and each other a favor by just doing what's needed to be done.
Definitely.
It's so funny. You just used the word X factor, and it just struck this little lightning bolt in my head of like, the X factor is great to have, but why don't we talk about the other factors? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's great to have that
all the
cherry
other
on top,
alphabets,
that differentiator. Yeah, like what about all those other things? And it's exactly what you've talked about, the system, the things that you can consistently bank on. Like, as you said, the 2 goals Aisling Maloney kicked were actually unbelievable. They were great efforts of skill and instinct from her to read the play and intercept. But then if you look at those and then you go back to the ones, the routine, the non-X factor stuff, the go back and have the set shot things, and they were misses. And like, that's the stuff. And I don't want to say it's inexcusable because that sounds way too harsh, but what it is it's a huge contributing factor to why you lose games to North Melbourne and the Adelaide Crows. Because I was so impressed. I was brutally disappointed, but I was so impressed watching Adelaide. It was the same the last quarter against North last week. I just went, man, these 2 teams that's the level. That's where we're aspiring to get to. Is playing that kind of footy. Their entries inside 50, I thought the contrast between the 2 teams was really stark. And then, of course, Adelaide's the perfect example. They've got the X factor and they've got everything else. They've got the system, and then on top of that, they've got players who can do freaky things in addition. And North really feel the same. And I think that is the thing that defines premiership contenders. And that sort of pivots us into the topic I wanted to bring up. And maybe you chaps have to talk me back off a ledge here with this. But during the week, I've been writing some stuff, a bit of a season preview, which I think will come out at some point, but of the Cats AFLW season. So I'll drop a link when it does come out. But what writing the in-depth preview made me think about was actually the depth of talent on our list. And part of the exercise of this season preview was about rating the lines, ranking where's Geelong's back line? Is it below average, average, or above average? Same with the midfield, the forwards, the ruck. And it was really an interesting exercise because when you think about, are we below average, above average, or in the middle? The tricky thing is I look and go, well, Claudia Gunjaka, she's an above average defender. I think Rachel Kearns is an above average defender. Midfield, well, we've got Prasparkas, we've got Morrison and Amy McDonald. Forward line, you've got Aisling Maloney. I think Jackie Parry's a pretty good player. Michaela Bowen, who sort of goes half forward or on ball. So I'm sort of going like, that's pretty elite. It's a pretty elite group of 9 players. But then I started to think about the depth outside of that. And I thought it showed up on the weekend. And that was what I put down as Geelong's, the pessimist case for Geelong this year, is that our best 9 players, say our best 10 players, are right on par with what North have, with what Adelaide have, with what Brisbane have. But what about the next third of the starting lineup? What about that next third of the list? And it did strike me on the weekend that I felt that Adelaide had a broader spread of contributors. And I'll be honest, I am starting to wonder, and we're only 2 games in, so I'm not fully on this, but I'm getting this nagging feeling about what happened last year into what's happened this year. And are we not yet at that fully evolved form? Like, I know Chloe Shear is injured. I know Anna Rose Kennedy went back to Ireland. I know Chantel Eamonson is off the list, but I don't know. I don't know if it's as simple for me as you plug those 3 players in and everything goes, because I think Sam hit on it about the system thing, and I think you've hit on it, Johnny, in terms of the players we've got in position didn't take the opportunities. Where are you chaps at with this? What are your thoughts on the list and the depth?
My first thought goes to things that like Kingy and Kane from their show, like Fireball and the Means Test and all that, bring up about lists, depths. You know, you got your top 6, middle 6, and the bottom 6. And as you said, we got a really good top 6. Middle 6 is pretty good, but it sort of felt like we've lost that bottom 6. Whereas those players that are, coming in, newish players who are just getting to really get the feel of AFLW and start improving to be those middle 6 where we can start rotating. It feels like we've been replenishing that bottom 6 constantly, and we don't have a stable one because we've lost some pretty crucial players that wouldn't say are crucial top tier players, but like middle to bottom 6 players like Darcy Maloney, Van Hoovel, Purcell, like these players that would have helped hugely in developing these other ones now. And now we've lost them to opposition, and it feels like we lost some more last year in the trade, and we just keep getting these new players coming in who aren't experienced or like skilled yet. But I can see the upside absolutely, but yeah, I just feel like we've lost that bottom 6 buffer zone where we got those players who are still learning, but they've had that one season under the belt or 2 seasons under the belt to really start improving. And with and the ruck's a clear one with Kate Darby out for who knows how long now. We've got to train up this new ruckman Dunlop. In her first few games, she's done really well, but there's only so much she can do each game. And same with all these other bottom 6. We can't expect them to play at a high level the entire game. And that's where those middle 6 and the top 6 really start to struggle towards the end of the game. We've got to run this hard 4 quarters. Can't really expect players to do that for a whole game, not even in the M. Like, if men don't do that, why would we expect the women to be able to do that when the league is still developing? So, yeah, I do agree with you. Like, the depth is taking a big hit, and I think it's that bottom 6, which a lot of people go, "Oh, can't be that crucial," but I think it's really crucial that the 6 players that are fighting for those last few positions need that extra oomph to go, and we just don't have those players to really help train each other. Then it does have a big effect. So, yeah, I agree. I think we've lost crucial players at bad times, but at least we're keeping the elite ones. But yeah, more middle bottom 6 players would be good.
So 6, I mean, I don't know if this sort of ranks or like relates to what you're saying, but 6 players spent more than 90% of the time on the ground, and 4 of those 6 were Geelong players. It's Michaela Bowen, Rebecca Webster, Georgie Rankin, and Claudia Gunjaka. And then the next step down is Georgie Prasparkas, who did also spend 90% of the time on the ground. It's a long time to be on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you talk about like the bottom 6, because you don't have to go back too far, and this is not to be disparaging against these players because they're some of our favorites. No. But like someone like Michaela Bowen was probably in our bottom 6, but she was remarkable. Like she was like, oh, she's so underrated. She gets in there and just does her job, and like those bottom 6, as you said, John, that they've gone up. And she's probably now in our top 6, but there's not necessarily anyone that's coming in like there was a lot of players to get around in a couple of seasons ago. People like Friswell and Maloney, who also isn't there now, was another one. You could sort of
Plummer.
see. you could see this sort of future for those players, and I think that's all come to fruition. But you sort of need that next crop now, where you're going. I don't know who of the next crop I'm picking as going. Oh, they're definitely going to be. And this season, like this is to be continued. I suppose we've only had 2 games. It might not be until round 6, and we go, oh, it's that player. That player is, future star. But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I don't think I'm super pessimistic about it yet. But it's such a shame that it's such a short season, because these are things that would be so exciting to see unravel and unfold and evolve, and it just can't. Don't want to get into the politics of it so soon in the season, but you can't help but feel cheated when these questions come up and you go, oh, this will evolve, but then you go, but we may not have time to answer them, because that's how last season felt to me, that we were just starting to get some traction and get some evolution, and then it was lopped short. I'd love some more games. I'd love some more games in this season.
It would be great, because
It's pretty
2
brutally.
games out of
Sorry,
12.
you go, John.
Yeah, put it 2 games, 10 games to go, and it doesn't feel like we get that time to improve those players, get those players rolling, and then when they do get rolling, unfortunately, someone comes in and pinches them off us, which is unusual for the Cats. Usually, we're the team pinching from others.
Well, I mean, and this is the thing, isn't it? You learn, like, we're having to adapt. That it's not only a different league. Sorry, it's not only a different football program in the W, totally league. So the whole environment around the Cats, it's not just the Cats who are different. It's all the other different clubs have totally different reputations. Obviously, we've covered the Cats since 2021 in the AFLW. I suppose I'm not. What I should do is I suppose I've got to take a little bit of responsibility for my own expectations, in that I think I've probably skewed optimistically on what I feel like the list is capable of, particularly when I add the context of Chloe Shear, Anna Rose Kennedy, Chantel Eamonson, Kate Darby being out, Geelong not having really solved the ruck thing. That's 5 or 6 question marks at really pivotal points. And the players who we had who are gone or who are out, have tangible bodies of work that you can go, oh, well, I kind of know what they would look like. On the weekend, I was going, I'm having daydreams about what that forward line could look like if it was Shear and Parry inside 50, and Maloney takes a leading mark outside of 50 and then can kick to one of those 2, or vice versa. Having 2 of those players inside 50 as targets and the other one being the lead-up player, it just changes the equation. Whereas on the weekend, it was Chantel Mason who was playing, I think, was it a 3rd game, a 4th game? And it's just a different kettle of fish. And then you look at other players, Emma Kilpatrick, Erica Fowler, Kate Kenny. There's just a lot of players who are trying to fill a role that has been voided by a really good player from last season. And I think I've underrated, I think I've probably projected a lot more improvement than was maybe fair. So I'm really interested to see, it's a 12-game season. I think I'll kind of really assess where I think we can go after 4 weeks. I think if in 4 weeks of the season, that's a third of your season, I think we'll have a fair idea of what the campaign, what we can rightfully expect or logically, rationally project. I've got another point I want to pivot to on the AFLW, but I think we'll hold it over for Patreon. Instead, we'll pivot into some votes. Chaps, I'll just lead off here. I'll make it quick. Mine's pretty chalky, and I think that indicates what we're talking about. I've gone 1 vote to Amy McDonald. I've gone 2 votes to Becky Webster, and I've gone 3 votes to Georgie Prasparkas. What about you, Sambo?
I'm exactly the same.
Cool. I'm the different one. I've got 1 vote, Becky Webster, 2 to Georgie Prasparkas, and I'm giving my 3 to Nina Morrison.
Nice. But right there, isn't it, chaps? Like the players who have got our votes. There was actually, and as much as I'm loath to give him too much credit, but I'm not normally a big Daniel Harford fan, but I actually found myself thinking he had a pretty good game on special comments on the weekend. There are a number of moments where he sort of called things before they even happened, and I thought there was a moment where Geelong got caught on a counter, and he said, "What's happened here is Geelong have pressed forward before being sure that they've got the footy." And then they got hit, and then there was another one which was funny. I think it was McDonald got the ball from Prasparkas, and he goes, "Oh, all they need is a kick to Nina Morrison now." And the kick literally went up the line to Nina Morrison, who took the mark. And it was just sort of like, I felt he had a good read on the Cats on the weekend. And the players you would expect are in our votes, chaps. And bizarrely, it's a vote tally that you could have looked at like 3 or 4 seasons ago, really. The same players that you might have picked in one of the 2022 seasons, say, have.
And the problem
got votes.
lies in there. If the commentators going Prasparkas to McDonald to Morrison, what are the chances opposition coaches are going, these are 3 players we've got to watch out for.
Yeah.
We shut them off. We cut the Cats off. Which is...
And knowing that, even if they don't cut those players off, we think we can exploit this team on the margins. We think we've got the better depth, that our bottom 6 will, when it comes down to it, when it comes to crunch time. That's a great stat too, Sambo, about the 90% game time. Yeah, that's a lot of time for Georgie Prasparkas to have been on the ground. That's nuts. All right. That's our votes. Let's pivot then to talk about the AFL men's. We'll obviously have quite a few notes to hold over onto Patreon. This is just the nature of it being a condensed show. Next week, we'll have a whole show just on the AFLW game because there won't be a men's game to recap. So we'll probably have plenty of time to flesh some more things out in the public part of the show. But the men's game, the final game of the home and away season, and the Cats capped it with a 39-point victory set up on a first half effort in which they toyed with the Tigers as they cruised to a 78-15 lead, never putting the machine higher than second gear. Brian Myers orchestrated play early, flicking the ball into astonishing and aesthetically pleasing spaces, while headband Hercules Bailey Smith covered several marathons of territory as he connected play around the ground. Geelong's backline were merciless in chopping Tigers' attacks off at the knees. Stewart, Henry and Guthrie racked up a collective 23 marks for the game, while Atkins, Mullen and Manor turned the pressure screws. Goals were spread between 7 players, with Cameron, Stengel, Manor, Dangerfield, Stanley, Martin, Dempsey and Bowes, all splitting the big sticks. A true disemboweling looked to be on the cards, and then the Cats seemed to remember that the top 2 was locked up. Nothing was to be gained from playing too hard or too fast in the second half, and they promptly idled the motor back down into first gear. They sauntered to the finish line by 39 points, despite the Tigers kicking a flurry of fourth quarter goals to put some lipstick on the pig for what was a relatively hearty home crowd. For Richmond, it was their last meaningful game of football for many months, as holidays and off-season surgeries are booked. For the Cats, chaps, it was the most meaningless game left on their fixture, as they booked their ticket officially to the season that is about to begin. The real season, where trophies are won and lost, where 8 teams are going to climb into their fighter jets and set off in a vicious dogfight, knowing that only one will reach the destination, while the other 7 are going to be shot down into the ocean. We are entering the final phase, chaps, and the Cats seemed to know that on the weekend. Johnny, what did you think? Was that second half complacency or good game management?
Good game management, you would have to say, by the way the Cats just completely let the gas off and just cruised to the ending. Personally, selfishly, I would have liked them to continue on to hurt the Tigers, but obviously And I think a lot of fans would have liked to see that as well. But obviously, as you said in the pre-thing, what's the bloody point? We're not going to gain enough percentage because we don't have the points to overtake Adelaide. We don't need a percentage over any other team because we already had that. And if the only way that we're going to drop if we lost was if Brisbane won. So at the end of the day, we got out to that really good high lead at halftime, and rightly so, just went, well, our job's done here. Let's not hurt ourselves. Let's not push ourselves. Let's just cruise to the end. And people saying that Richmond got on top of the game, got on top of the Cats in that second half. Cats are going to be worried going into the finals. So I don't think so. Like, we were there live. I was right behind the goal at the Richmond end, so that was good fun. And you could easily tell the Cats had just decided to go, yeah, no, we don't need to run too hard. We don't need to push too hard, because there's a lot of times where Cats could have easily chased down a Tigers player and made a really good tackle, and they were just sort of like, they're running after them, putting the pressure on, but not gut running. They weren't going that extra mile to get that Richmond player, or they weren't being that precise with their kicks, because I was like, as I said, what's the point? So yeah, I think it was good game management by the Cats, by Chris Scott, by the players, to know that the game was basically over at halftime, and if they had to really kick it back into gear, they easily could have. But at the end of the day, so it's Richmond. They're at the bottom end of the ladder at the moment. They're not gonna be a threat in the last two quarters against the Cats. So why should we potentially hurt Dangerfield, hurt Stewart, Henry, any other player for the sake of a percentage boost? That's not going to change a single bloody thing. So yeah, I think what the Cats did was reasonable and ideal. Like, why not have a bit more extra time just to get ready for finals when it really matters? So yeah, good game management by the Cats, and as a little bit frustrating as was that last quarter, that's only from a fan point of view, going, oh, we want big scores, we want to smash them. But
probably mostly from the point of view of a fan who is entrenched amongst Tigers fans, I imagine.
There was a good amount of Cats fans around, but yeah, even they were like, come on, Geelong, do something. But I was also happy for this other Richmond fan that was in front of me, because he had like 20 plus Richmond jumpers on that he was taking off after each goal. And I was in with my friend who's also a Richmond supporter. I was like, I hope Richmond kicked more goals for his sake, because he must be boiling. And he was able to take a few more off as the game went on. But it was good, because
Must have been
us Cats fans got good entertainment first half. Richmond fans and my Richmond fan friend, she got some good entertainment in that second half, and a bit of hope for futures.
Well, I'll say this, Johnny. Nothing is less translatable to a new season than late season form. So I don't know, like, they can have their false hope.
Exactly.
I just say too, like, Geelong, 33 scoring shots on 55 entries inside 50. That's 60% of entries converted to a score. And they kicked in accurately. 14 goals, 19. The second half, we kicked 3 goals, 7. It's not like we didn't have chances to have extended or matched the margin. By contrast, Richmond, 19 scores from 54 entries. So, like, I don't know, this business that Geelong were just outmatched and, dog walked in the second half. A little bit of nervous overreaction, I think.
Definitely.
I thought, and Sam made this, I think he made the observation or recounted someone else's observation, and I'm going to recount it here again, so it's third-hand information. But I did think in that first half that we seemed to be trying to move the ball faster than we probably actually needed to, almost like trying to simulate the pressure that we're likely to face in the coming weeks. I can't remember, Sambo, you quoted a before the game started, you quoted something about it from a show or a podcast you'd watched, and it suddenly like really lit up.
I think
For
it
me
was
watching
Buckley.
the
I
game,
think it was Nathan Buckley.
Oh,
and I thought you
Bucks.
could see it because there were handballs that were missing the target at times, and you're going, we had more time than that. What are we doing?
Mm.
But I actually do think Geelong were moving the ball sort of faster than necessary in that first half. But it was only not necessary here. It's going to be necessary in 2 weeks' time when we take on the Lions. So I kind of like it that in all of these instances, like even the Blixarves thing, we talked before the game, Sambo. I said, isn't it funny that Chris Scott tinkers around with putting Blixarves up in the forward 50, for the last few weeks? Shannon Neal gets the suspension, and suddenly you're like, oh, we don't have to panic. We don't actually have to rush Ollie Henry back in. We'll just we'll just keep Blixarves up there. We've already seen him in that role this season. So all this tinkering, trying to get something out of, what the media have jackhammered into us is like the soft draw. Like the Cats are always trying to get something out of these things. And I like that we tinkered around with it. Did you have any thoughts on that? And then interested to hear your thoughts. You wanted to talk about, Geelong's aerial dominance and contested marking was something you said stuck out to you on the weekend. But yeah, up to you how much you want to talk about the fast transition and that sort of simulated pressure maybe that the Geelong team were trying to apply to themselves.
Yeah, I think it was pretty evident in that first half. I thought obviously the second half. I don't feel like anybody with any real I feel like the only way you would say that the Tigers like dog walked the Cats in the second half would be if one, you're a Richmond fan, and that's all right. You can think that's okay. Or two, if you're a real hand wringing Geelong fan that's just like desperately trying to Methuselah the future and forewarn yourself so when things go wrong you knew it. I could see it. I could see it in the tea leaves in that Richmond game. And just like the soft draw talk from Chris Scott said, if their year now goes well, it won't be proof that the soft draw isn't an issue. And if it was, if the year goes badly, then it still won't be any definable proof. But anybody will be able to use that to sort of confirmation bias their own pre-existing opinions. So I don't feel like anybody with any degree of objectivity would really feel that Geelong were playing anywhere near the best. And I think there's maybe a little bit of a misconception about the idea of the queue in the rack. Like, I don't think the Cats wanted to let through a heap of goals. I think what the Cats were trying to do was play at a lower intensity, play at a less risk, and then also get Jeremy Cameron some goals and prevent goals. And it just didn't work out that way. Like, I think if you listen to any of the interviews with the players, it's clear that they didn't want Richmond to get back in it to that degree. But it was a result of the way they had shifted their game plan. So I think we're not just saying, they just didn't care and they just like literally sat down on the ground and let Richmond run right.
Yeah,
Like there is
threw in the towel.
It's a bit more nuanced than just they were playing and then they stopped playing. It's like, well, they attempted to play in a different way, still hoping, I'm sure, to blow Richmond off the park by 100 points. If it worked out that way, it just didn't. But that doesn't discredit what happened when they were playing the other way. But yeah, I thought. I mean, I thought. I obviously wanted to talk about the ball movement as well, the speed, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought that I think the speed and the handball game is looking really strong. Like you said, there was some times where maybe we hand passed it a little faster than we needed to, and it didn't always stick. But I thought it got better as the first half wore on. And I think that part of our game looks really dangerous. But combine that with the aerial threat, I think is also really good. Like Richmond did outmark us overall, but we outmarked them. We were above them in contested marks. So I think a lot of the Richmond's marks came from uncontested marks when they were trying to trying to move it around. So when it came down to an actual meaningful contested mark, or say a mark inside 50, it was pretty stark. Cats took 19 marks inside 50. Season average is 16 even, so I think that was way up. Contested marks 12-7. Our season average is 10.9. And I think that's really encouraging when we're also plus 30 on our season average for handballs. The two things combined, like I think we're operating at different levels. We're going back to that stage of maybe having different gears as well that the Cats we used to talk about with the Cats, where they could kind of pull different levers. But there was just some individual players. Sorry, I haven't got myself quiet. Tom Stewart, obviously, with 9 marks, equal second on the ground. Jack Henry with 7, Zach Guthrie with 7, Jeremy Cameron with 7. Like there was some real signs there, I thought, aerially. And it's just something that maybe I feel like I'm not sure if it stuck with me as being so stark compared to other games this year, where maybe we haven't been able to like clunk a lot of marks, or if it was maybe made so stark watching the W the next day, where I felt that was really well and get to in the game was just couldn't take some clean marks. We actually, I know we're circling back, but this, and maybe we can get into this in the Patreon. But something I did want to bring up with the W is we only had one player with a contested on the ground on Sundays. Yeah. So that it's not great. But yes, sorry. Circling back to contested marks, Jack Henry, like game high, 5 contested marks. Next closest was Harry Armstrong with 2. So I just wanted to throw that out there again because I love me some Jack Henry, and I've been sort of talking him up for the last couple of weeks. We touched on him because when it looked like he might have been injured, why I was so worried, and I think he's been on full display as to why he's such a crucial part. But yeah, that's my meandering point about why I thought the aerial dominance was really, really good. Coupled with the fact that we're moving it fast and low as well.
Yeah, I just saw I thought I'd misheard you when you said Jack Henry had 5 contested marks. I was like, what? 5 contested marks in a game. That's exceptional. And yeah, I think you chaps have both hit the nail on the head in terms of like your descriptions of what happened across that second half and what it meant. And you know, yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think you've captured it. I think you've captured the vibe. You know, the other way you might think, you know, be really down on the game is if the second half. You know what I mean? And you've got no context of what happened in the first half. But, you know, when the game was there, yeah, the Cats were pretty ruthless. Even though even at that stage they seemed to be mainly sort of cruising around. 17 running bounces to 1 is a pretty insane stat. Our season average is 7.6.
I was going to say, I haven't seen
that's pretty nuts.
Us reach the double digits for bounces. I did notice a lot of bounces as well as there, especially from Holmes and Smith. Sorry, my mind went blank.
It's a tough name to remember.
Max Holmes.
It is.
Max Holmes took 8 running bounces in the game. 8.
That's a lot.
I love it. It's what you want to see. Personally, I want to see it. I thought it was exciting. Where else did we want to take? This sort of stuff I think is probably more Patreon-y, to be honest. The stuff I want to pivot us to. Let's do a little bit of it. Let's just do a little bit. I'll ask you one of these, which was just, what did you take away from this game in terms of like something that you were going to go, if we can see that thing, in week one against, week one of the finals against Brisbane, I'll be pretty happy. Like, just it can be as minuscule as you like, or it can be as broad spectrum as you like. But yeah, just a quick hitter from both of you. Like, what is something that you'll pluck from this game that you want to see repeated in the finals, if anything?
Who first?
Probably
Sambo
that
lead us off because
pressure.
sorry, no, John, go for it, Johnny. Go for it.
I'll just say the pressure. That pressure in that first half, I thought was fantastic. Didn't let Richmond do anything without immense pressure. So if we bring that pressure, then they're as good as a chance as any.
And that I'll just tack on there too, Johnny, with that pressure thing. Something I noticed, and this is the contrast to what we've seen the first 2 weeks of the W, Sambo, is like that structured pressure. I didn't feel like Geelong overcommitted too often in the AFL men's game. Like, it didn't look like anyone was running around like a headless chook, but what we had was one player closing down the space, and just slowly boa constrictoring around Richmond until we forced the turnover possession, and then we were hitting them back the other way. So I like that point, Johnny. I think it was on display in the first half.
Yeah. Or just soccering it off the ground straight to Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah, let's see more of that, please.
I was in such a great position to see that.
What about you, Sambo?
Yeah, and just quickly, like the communication on that too was so clear. Like watching it live, like not only the sort of slow, what do you call it, the boa constricting of onto the opposition, but the communication of it too. Like, a player sort of just trotting along and going, "I've got this one, you get that one." Like it was so nice to be able to see the whole ground and watch them sort of talk it through. No one was panicked. So yeah, no, that was awesome. And that can be tough. That can be a tough thing to bring intensity without chaos, without panic. The thing I would like to see is Tom Stewart doing what he did from that game. If we can have Tom Stewart plucked out of that game and put into another game, like, I don't think he needs to get the most disposals on the ground. I don't think he needs to take the most contested marks. I don't think he needs to win the most defensive one-on-ones. I don't think he needs to have the most meters gained anymore. If you can just have him doing that or somewhere close to that, even against the best teams, I think it's enough to really disrupt them and put a bit of fear in their hearts. Like, you could just see the way Tom Stewart was living in rent free in the heads of not only the fans who were booing, but also the Richmond players. Like the looming specter of Stewart whenever the ball was going near a Richmond player, it was almost like you could see them looking over their shoulder to see if Stewart was about to to clunk them very legally and completely fairly.
That was the loudest
I love it.
The Richmond fans was whenever Stewart had that ball in this goal square.
They were watching a game separate to anybody else, which was just them versus Stewart.
Absolutely. They were pretty darn loud.
And I have to say, people talk about the way Bailey Smith is fueled by fan interaction. It seemed to me like maybe Tom Stewart was a little fueled by it.
Or just by that one voice going, "Go, Tom Stewart, go!"
I don't know why opposition fans boo great players. Not because I don't think they should be allowed to. Like, I personally think that there's a lot of Geelong fans out there that would find themselves in very hypocritical territory if someone had taken out, say, Brian Myers on Easter Monday. You watch when we play the Hawks next time. Connor Nash is going to be in for a booing. I guarantee you he will cop a booing.
Absolutely.
So I don't mind it, but at a certain point, I do think great players like Tom Stewart are fueled by it, and you are just stoking the fire. So,
do they think we would have put Dusty Martin off his game by booing Dusty Martin? He would have gone, "Oh no, I don't know what I'm doing anymore."
The opposition fans don't like me.
Yeah.
What am I? Oh, my life is over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
no,
the
he
proof
give
in
the
the
middle
pudding
finger.
of like Tyson. Yeah, but Tyson Stengel last week, copping it over the boundary line from that fan, goes back and just slots that goal. It's like, come on, guys! At a certain point, just learn.
Yeah, the best. Sometimes the best case scenario is just to ignore them. Just go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Or cheer them.
Well, it's
Cheer them. That would really mess with their
Really good
mind.
cheers.
Johnny's mental warfare games tonight, from ordering flowers for your enemy or cheering the player that you dislike. I'll just say that my little thing I just want to pluck out of this game is Sean Manners' entire game, for one. His sort of, tackle hunting, pressure in the first half, that mow down tackle from behind that he got, and just his ability to seize on a moment, like both of his goals really. He had one snap from open play, and then his goal he kicked, I think, was a snap around the body he played on for after the holding the ball tackle from memory. I thought he was really decisive, and the thing I'd really love to copy paste is his kicking efficiency. 88.9%. He was the fifth best by foot on the ground. Now, I know we're not going to get 88.9% Sean Manor in the finals, but if I could just copy paste like 65 to 70% by foot Sean Manor, that's a player who could go and win a Norm Smith medal. I'm just saying. He's really good. If he uses the footy well, he's really good. All right, votes time, chaps. I'm going to go 1 vote to Tom Stewart for many of the reasons you guys had said. I'm going to go 2 votes for Tom Atkins. He's set the new record for most tackles in a season, and he was really good again on the weekend. Led the game for pressure acts. Was, I think, what was he, in sort of near the top for Geelong, top 5 for Geelong in terms of amount of effective disposals. So just again, doing Tom Atkins things. And then my 3 votes go to Bailey Smith. Work rate is insane. The work rate is insane. 34 touches, 7 clearances, 4 tackles, 2 goal assists. I thought his disposal efficiency has improved. I don't know what the numbers were on the weekend, but just being there and watching, whatever the number says, 67.6%. That's fine. I was impressed. So that's my votes. Johnny?
I'm going 1 vote Max Holmes, 2 votes Tom Stewart, and my 3 votes are going to Bailey Smith.
We're all slightly different today for the men's. I've gone 1 vote Tom Stewart. As I said, loved what he did. Loved what he did. It's about peak Tom Stewart for me. Currently. And for me that was good for 1 vote. My 2 go to Bailey Smith. Could have easily got the 3. Like, I love watching him live. I've, as we said before, I've been on the hype train since right after even before we got him, really. And I love what he does. Love watching the games on the broadcast, but really watching it live, it's like a whole other thing. Just to like I just wish I could go and not care about the result and just watch Bailey Smith. I'm just gonna follow him because his coverage is insane. But my 3 votes go to my boy Tom Atkins. I just think he's becoming such a complete footballer, and he's just starting to. He broke the fucking record for tackles in a season, and that's what's just getting him spoken about.
Potty mouth.
He had to break. He had to break a record for anybody to go. He's like, he does his work. He does his part too. Like, Bailey Smith and Max Holmes can't do what they do without Tom Atkins. Putting on that pressure and
No
it's like,
shit.
that's true, but they're missing the fact that he's actually doing the other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Only Jeremy Cameron had more score involvements on the weekend than Tom Atkins. That's when all we're going to talk about is his tackling. Like, I don't know, it's a disposal efficiency 77.8. Is inside 50s. He was equal second on the ground, only behind Bailey Smith. I think he's doing so much, and the thing that really impresses me is he's doing it with a little bit less in terms of actual accumulation. Like I don't mind that he doesn't accumulate as many touches as Bailey Smith, or Max Holmes generally, but I think he's almost doing as much with like sometimes 10 less touches. Also we talked about our handball game. He was second on the ground. Sorry, no, he was third on the team for handballs. Handballs are super important in what we were talking about before with the chains and all that kind of stuff. He's generally up there with our clearances as well. There was one of his lower games for that, but still, yeah, I just think some of his possessions are so damaging, both kicks and handballs. And I just think he gets lost. People are finally giving him some love, but they really only give him love for tackling, and he's actually an absolute stud.
A quick tweet that I put up last week about Tom Atkins, in case anyone missed it. So this doesn't take into account whatever he did against the Tigers, but his tackling excellence, we said, it's been well covered. He is also the leading clearance winner. He was after the Swans game. He had the most total clearances for the Cats this year with 125. He was also first on the team for score launches, has the fourth most goal assists. The next best, those above him for the Cats are Dangerfield, Close, and Stengel. So he's got more goal assists than, Myers or Dempsey, etc. He's got 239 more pressure acts than the next closest Cat. And he was first for contested possessions and fifth for effective disposals on the season. So you're right, Sambo. You're banging the right drum because he is still underrated. And long may it continue. Long may he be underestimated because he's a brilliant player. All right. That is us done for the public part of the show. We're cracking along an hour and 2 minutes. We are off to Patreon. We're going to do another half hour there for the paying subscribers. We're going to empty out the notebook. We're going to preview round 3 of the AFLW against the Swans. It's a crunch match. We're 0-2. They are 2-0. We need a 1 in that win column this weekend. So we'll do all that on Patreon. Until next time, go Cats!
Go Cats!
Go Cats!